Why did Vanessa Abrams go through so many tragic and toxic breakups on Gossip Girl? She ended the show totally single and alone, even though she dated a handful of guys who were interesting and awesome. So where did Vanessa go wrong? Here's a breakdown explaining all of Vanessa's breakups on the show. Dan Humphrey. In an alternate Gossip Girl universe, there's a chance Vanessa and Dan Humphrey could have been endgame. We know he ultimately married Serena in the finale of the show, but what if he ended up married to Vanessa instead? That's something Gossip Girl viewers will never know about since things between Vanessa and Dan turned out so messed up. Vanessa re-entered Dan's life by climbing into his bedroom window at a time when he was already invested in his relationship with Serena van der Woodsen. Vanessa had a crush on him, but she waited patiently for an opportunity to make her move. Later, Dan started dating Olivia Burke, a famous actress. Vanessa likely wouldn't have had a chance to date him in the first place if Olivia, Dan, and Vanessa didn't participate in a threesome together. It was during that threesome that Dan made it abundantly clear he wanted Vanessa more than Olivia. His relationship with Olivia was butchered that night, and they broke up shortly after. At that point, Dan and Vanessa finally decided to give their relationship a shot. After a Gossip Girl blast of Dan innocently asleep in bed with Serena went public, Vanessa ended her relationship with Dan. In Season 4, Vanessa let bygones be bygones and moved in with Dan to help him raise Milo. At the time, they were convinced that Milo was the baby Dan accidentally fathered with Georgina Sparks. Dan and Vanessa could have possibly been on good terms for future reconciliation from there, but all of that went out the window when Vanessa teamed up with Juliet and Jenny to sabotage Serena. Dan found out that Vanessa was part of that plan and told her he would never be friends with her again, nor would she ever get his forgiveness. Their relationship was permanently over at that moment. Nate Archibald. Vanessa's relationship with Nate was one of the most messy, complicated, and confusing relationships to ever spark up on Gossip Girl. But what caused their final breakup? They got together and broke up multiple times for a slew of idiotic reasons. They first connected when she read his SAT essay, and she saw his vulnerable side when he wrote about the details of his father's embezzlement scandal. But they broke up after Bart and Lily's wedding because Nate didn't want to subject her to all of his family's drama. In Season 2, they tried to reconnect, but he was in the middle of an illicit affair with a duchess named Catherine Beaton. Catherine threatened to expose Nate's father to the FBI if Vanessa stuck around, so Vanessa gracefully bowed out of the situation. Later on, they reconnected at the Snowflake Ball after Jenny sabotaged Vanessa and set Vanessa up to wear a see-through dress. But the relationship fell apart again after that when Nate decided to abandon his summer backpacking plans with Vanessa to take on an internship with his grandfather. At the last minute, he decided to go on the backpacking trip with Vanessa. But their summer of travel and romance did not go the way Gossip Girl fans might have hoped. In Season 3, Vanessa revealed to Dan that she and Nate hooked up once while they were in Prague. But the backpacking trip didn't amount to anything substantial between them for some mysterious reason. In Season 4, Nate and Vanessa linked up to uncover secrets about Juliet Sharp, but there wasn't any romantic connection between them. The love story between Nate and Vanessa was over in Season 3, to be honest. Their hookup during that European backpacking trip must have been a flop. Scott Rosson. Vanessa's breakup with Scott was definitely one of the most tragic breakups to happen for her individually on the show. Do you remember why they split up? Vanessa was totally smitten with Scott, and she felt like there was something real and genuine developing between them. Ultimately, Scott was sort of using Vanessa to get closer to Rufus Humphrey and Lily van der Woodsen, since those were his birth parents. He wanted to find out more about his roots after growing up with adoptive parents. After Scott officially met Lily and Rufus, the introduction wasn't enough to make him want to stay in New York City. Scott decided to return to Boston after breaking things off with Vanessa, despite how great their connection was. Chuck Bass. Although Chuck and Vanessa never officially dated each other in a committed relationship, they still had a friends with benefits fling that eventually came to an end. But why did it start in the first place? And why did it actually end? Blair made a bet with Chuck to sleep with Vanessa so they could humiliate her. And if he was able to successfully accomplish that, he'd be able to have a night with Blair as well. In the midst of the bet, Chuck realized he actually liked hanging out with Vanessa when it came to her approach to socialism and doing good deeds. He saw that Vanessa wanted him to help her save a historical bar before it was permanently shut down. In a later scene, Chuck and Vanessa kissed each other at an event simply to make Blair and Nate jealous. In the episode titled The Remains of Jay, Vanessa and Chuck were seen getting out of bed together after having sex for the first time. In another episode titled Southern Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, Vanessa told Dan the truth about the fact that she actually had sex with Chuck twice. There wasn't any groundbreaking reason Vanessa and Chuck decided to stop hooking up. Their connection with each other simply ran its course. What do you think of Vanessa's failed relationships on Gossip Girl and the reasons for all her tragic breakups? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below.